It is Wednesday, the 3rd day of January 2024. A brand new year. Happy New Year once again. Welcome to the News International Edition. We're coming to you live from our Vision Group headquarters here in Kampala, Uganda. I'm Emma Akwero. We start today from Japan, where more than 250 people, mainly elderly, sheltered in an evacuation center in the city of Nanoa 2 days after a deadly earthquake struck central Japan. The 7.5 magnitude quake on January 1st that rattled Ishikawa Prefecture on the main island of Shoshu killed at least 64 people and left more than 300 injured. Seeking food, company and safe roof over their heads, people from all walks of life were sheltering at community halls after a major earthquake leveled their homes in central Japan. At one hall in the town of Animizu, residents huddled together on makeshift beds made of cardboard boxes, warming themselves by stoves and rehashing the New Year's catastrophic that killed at least 64 people and laid waste to the region. I want to go home soon, but I have no idea what the road situation is now, and neither do people who manage the facility here, said Nobu Takahata, 68, who was visiting from the neighboring region of Tayoma when the quake hit. Takahata was with his family, having weathered a harrowing night in their car before arriving at the shelter, but others were by themselves, gazing regrettably out of windows or perusing local newspapers featuring giant pictures of collapsed buildings and raging fires. A whiteboard detailed what rationed items were available, including water, powdered milk, rice balls, blankets, and women's sanitary products. Soup with a warning of those with food allergies was also available, as were steamed buns for locals braving the cold in long queues outside. Takahata was driving when the quake began. He was able to safely stop the car, but the road was split open by the quake. Unable to return home, he had to spend the first night after the disaster in a car with his pregnant wife and daughter, turning the engine on and off to keep warm. Since they were visiting from out of town, they had no supplies and had to share a single bottle of water between them. All around the Noto Peninsula on the Sea of Japan coast, buildings have been flattened and roads hit by landslides and fallen trees. Cell phone coverage was patchy. In the city of Wajima, a huge fire laid waste to several hundred structures and a 7-story building toppled over. In Suzy, tsunami waves spilled fishing boats on the shore. Heavy rain pounded the region on Wednesday, making conditions more treacherous and raising the risk of additional landslides even as aftershocks continued. Sirens blared as emergency vehicles tried to get to those in need. Now, Maria Kadrina wrapped a duvet around her 4-year-old son as he sat in front of the still smoking block of flats in Kyiv after a Russian missile attack on Tuesday. Kyiv's residents were woken Tuesday by sirens and explosives as Russia fired a deadly barrage of missiles at Ukrainian cities, leading Ukraine's defense minister to accuse Moscow of deliberately targeting residential areas.
Some of the residents believe it's safer because the air defense systems are more efficient in the face of the attack.
Я вважаю зараз безпечніше, тому що ми зараз бачимо, як працює.
I think it's safer now than last year because we can see how the air defense works. And we can see that it's not like at the beginning when there were missile attacks and there wasn't as much security as there is today. Just after the Ukrainian attack on Belgorod, New Year's Day and the bombing of Ukrainian cities were the same, and today the same. Maybe this is their way of getting even. The long grey Soviet-era block on Krudashtova Street near Kyiv's Central Rail Station was hit and set on fire during the morning's heavy attacks on the capital. 2 people were killed and 49 others were wounded. Hours later, smoke still poured from several flats. There was a smell of burning and shattered glass littered the pavement opposite. Exhausted firefighters were working to extinguish smoldering blackened remains of flats. Anna, an accountant from Kharkiv, believes it's gotten even more dangerous in the New Year's attacks. It seems to me that it has become more dangerous, and every day we wait for something to happen. In fact, for several days now, we've been waking up at night, listening and waiting for something to happen. We are not safe, we are anxious. She believes it's more dangerous in Kyiv than people in other regions believe. I come from Kharkiv, where everyone says Kyiv is so well protected. We are not. And today, I'm inclined to say, in Kyiv, you don't feel well either. It's very dangerous here. Ukraine claimed to have shot down most of the missiles Russia fired in its latest assault, but buildings were hit by debris and some missiles may have gotten through. I don't think we should give them time to stockpile these missiles. The building's residents, some bandaged, were standing around or warming themselves along with the cats and some dogs in a heated tent set up by the Polish Red Cross. The occupiers walked around with these Kinzhal's missiles under their arms like idiots, but the results were bad, 10 out of 10. And all the Western partners, without their help, I don't know what would have happened to us. People said that the force of the blast had jammed the doors of the building, so those trying to flee had to wait for rescuers to let them out. Their possessions were not just smashed by the explosions, but also flooded when firefighters sprayed water on upper floors. The city authorities said the Russian attacks had hit infrastructure and for the first time this winter caused power, water and gas cuts in several districts. The strikes came after a long period of relative calm boosted confidence in the air defense's ability to protect the capital.
Now the latest update on the Israel and Palestinian war is that Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh has said his Palestinian militant group will never be defeated after the killing of deputy leader Saleh al-Haruri in Lebanon in a strike blamed on Israel. Around 100 Palestinians also marched in downtown Ramallah to protest against the killing of the deputy chief of Hamas in Lebanon. The Israeli army has said it is prepared for any scenario after a strike in Beirut that killed Hamas's deputy chief, stoking fears the war in the Gaza Strip could boil over into a wider regional conflict. A high-level security official in Lebanon told reporters that Saleh al-Aruri was killed along with his bodyguards in a strike by Israel, which was vowed to destroy Hamas after the movement's shock October 7th attacks. A second security official confirmed the information, while Hamas TV also reported Israel had killed Aruri in Lebanon. Israeli army spokesman Daniel Hagari did not directly comment on the killing, but said afterwards that the military was in a very high state of readiness in all arenas in defense and offense. We are highly prepared for any scenario. Israel has previously announced the deaths in Gaza by Hamas commanders and officials during the war, but Aruri is the most high-profile figure to be killed, and his death came in the first strike on the Lebanese capital.
ننعى إلى شعبنا الفلسطيني في كل ساحات الوطن وخارجه.
We announce to our Palestinian people all over the country and abroad, to our Arab and Muslim nations, and to the free people of the world, the death of the leader and important person for the nation, the martyr Sheikh Saleh al-Ruri Abu Muhammad.
نؤكد أن اغتيال الاحتلال الصهيوني
We confirm the assassination led by the Zionist occupier of our brother and important national leader Sheikh Saleh al-Ruri and his brothers from the movement Leaders' Entourage on the Lebanese territory is a terrorist act from all aspects and a violation of the Lebanese sovereignty.
وإن حركة تقدم قادتها ومؤسسيها
A movement whose leaders and founders fall as martyrs for the dignity of our people and our nation will never be defeated God willing, but this kind of targeting will make it stronger and more determinate.
Still in Gaza, at the only zoo in Rafah, in the far south of Gaza, a severe shortage of food is putting lions and other creatures at risk. The owner of the zoo says he fears losing animals to hunger. The team has resorted to feeding the lions with bread and other delicacies, as some of the animals have died due to starvation in the past.
منذ بداية الحرب إنه في أولها نحن كنا مسيطرين بعدين الوضع يعني
At the beginning of the war, we were able to manage, then it went out of control. Food is not available and some animals have died, for example the lioness that has given birth, but we couldn't provide food for it, so the cubs died, and the same thing happened with the monkeys and the birds. The feed bag used to cost 70 shekels, costs 400 shekels now, and it's unavailable. The situation is very tragic. There is no food, water, medicine or anything.
يعني آخر طريقة إنه إحنا تعاملنا معاه إنه يعني بنجيب لهم زي نظام خبز ناشف.
Our last method was to bring them dry bread and wet it with water to get by. We also tried to bring something from here and there.
طبعا بالنسبة للحديقة يعني من بداية الحرب إنه تم إغلاقها.
The zoo was closed after the war, but we opened it to host displaced family and friends.
And finally, South Korea's opposition party floor leader Hong In-pyo read a statement in front of the press after an emergency meeting which was held to discuss the recent attack on party leader Lee Jae-myung. South Korea is gearing up for a crucial election on April 10th, in which Yoon's Conservative Party aims to regain a parliamentary majority for the first time since 2016. For the opposition Democratic Party, a victory in the general election is seen as a critical prerequisite for preparing for the next presidential election in 2027.
South Korean opposition leader Lee Jae-myung narrowly escaped death when he was stabbed in the neck, a party lawmaker said Wednesday, as police were granted a warrant to search his assailant's property. Lee was surrounded by journalists in southern Busan City on Tuesday when a man pretending to be a supporter pushed through a crowd and lunged at him, stabbing him on the left side of his neck with a knife.
민주주의를 위협하고
We oppose all kinds of violence and hatred that threaten democracy and discourage free political activities. We strongly condemn acts of terrorism, targeting politicians, and hope for the speedy recovery and appeasement for Representative Lee Jae-myung.
경찰 등 수사기관은
Investigative agencies such as the police must be deeply aware of the seriousness of the case and conduct a strict and prompt investigation. If political considerations, reductions or attempts at distortion occur during the investigation process, we will not sit idly by. Lee, who suffered a wound to his jugular vein, was first taken to a hospital in Busan, then flown to the capital Seoul, where he underwent a 2-hour surgery. Kang Cheong-hee, a medical doctor and a member of the Democratic Party, later said Lee suffered a severe injury. Lee was admitted to the intensive care unit following the procedure. Hong Ik-pyo of the Democratic Party of Korea promised safety for all people in the new year.
새해에도 민생과 경제가 어렵습니다.
Even in the new year, people's livelihoods and the economy are difficult. The Democratic Party of Korea will unwaveringly pursue the mountain of tasks of people's livelihood and economic recovery. We also state that the party's operations will be carried out without a hitch. Lee was later transferred to the general ward on Wednesday evening as per the hospital guidelines, South Korea's Yonhap news agency reported, citing his party. According to Yonhap, police said Wednesday that they plan to seek an arrest warrant for the 66-year-old suspect identified only by his surname, Kim, who was detained at the scene. The warrant would allow police to continue to hold the suspect. A district court issued a warrant to search the suspect's house and office as part of the investigation, Yonhap said, adding that police will focus on finding the exact motive behind the attack. South Korean authorities plan to bring attempted murder charges against the assailant, and the attacker told the police, according to Yonhap, that he intended to kill Lee. In footage aired on South Korean television stations, police were seen wrestling the suspect, who displayed a pro-Lee slogan, to the ground. The 59-year-old politician was walking to his car while talking to reporters when the attacker asked for his autograph, according to a witness, before the attack.
And that's all the international news we had for you this afternoon. We'll be back again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Thank you for watching. Have a good afternoon.